one of your frustrations has
this.
been there hasn't been enough public funding for forests, for adaptation, and other things. So
Yes.
Guyana has decided to go another route.
Yes, yes, and we recognized that a long time ago, 15 years ago, that there was this feeling that you will save forest through philanthropy and some small amounts of public money. And given the experience in other areas, the lack of public funding for that have already been pledged, but the developed world failed to deliver, we decided to embark on a course of action in our forestry sector that would see us eventually using a market-based mechanism to raise the funds at scale to outcompete alternate use for the forest. And that is why we have one of the most successful models in the world. Today we have the only national scale certification, jurisdictional scale certification of forests in the world. We have sold 30% of our forest carbon for a minimum of 750 million, because if it's traded further, we share the upside. If we get the same pricing, and over the next 10 years, we can raise upwards of 2.5 billion US dollars. I pointed out, although our forest is so large, bigger than England, it's just 1% of global forest. And the 99% of the remaining tropical forests in the next 10 years will not see $2.5 billion pledged for conservation efforts in all of those countries. So we will raise more money through a market-based mechanism than they will get through public money from all the sources for all of these forests. And so that tells you a lot about the success of our model. And that is why we believe that those countries the incentives should be created, and those countries should also, some of them, explore the market to raise money to outcompete alternate use for the forest. We believe that's the only way in the long run you can preserve forests. We pointed out today at an interview with BBC, I pointed out that our forests alone, as 1% of tropical forests, removes more carbon dioxide equivalent from the atmosphere than 4 Scandinavian countries, big Scandinavian countries, emit per year. Just imagine that multiplied by 100. How much more we can remove, and how big a role forests play in safeguarding our planet. And unfortunately, the developed world doesn't seem to want to pay for this mitigation measure. So that is why we've embarked on this approach, and everyone speaks about it now here at COP, about how we have done this. So it's a great position to be in.
And you're doing this way because we need the funding for adaptation. We've heard that this year was the hottest on record. What happens to Guyana because of the climate changes? What are
sea level rise. Our biggest problem is tackling water and extreme weather events. So we have periods of drought, intense rainfall, and so a lot of the 85% of the funds we raise through this mechanism will go mainly to adaptation efforts. And that is making our country more climate resilient, and its capacity to manage water will be vastly enhanced. We have a number of projects that we are already embarked upon to do that, to prevent flooding, and also to make sure that we have water in periods of drought, but also to manage potable water, a whole range of issues. So, and then 15%, that is another part of the model that most countries will not have. This has been a great success in Guyana. 15% of the proceeds go directly to indigenous people and their villages, and they have been part of utilizing these funds, managing these funds, utilizing it through the mechanism of free prior informed consent. We have had 500 projects now under implementation in 1 year in these villages, transforming lives in these villages. So it's all around some of the best practices through international model building, certification, tracking any carbon change in the forest, involvement of indigenous people, all of these issues.
So I want to go back to the measures, because you've spoken about the Second Hope Canal. What else are the critical projects that you see in helping communities?
So it is like not Second Hope, it's Hope-like canals. Canals that would allow us to better manage water, particularly waters from the backland to bypass villages. They can go straight into the Atlantic without flooding out the villages and the farmlands. It's about greater pumping capacity to get water out. So if we have more intense rainfall, we don't have to wait until the tide changes to get the water out. We can pump more water out. Like even the pump that we're building at Lilendale would help the entire South Georgetown. It is about building more cokers. It's about ensuring that we have stronger dams like our conservancy dams, so that when we have heavy rainfall, the water doesn't break away the dam, doesn't threaten the villages that are there, north of the dams. A number of measures it will fund. These are all adaptation measures. And then some will go towards mangrove restoration, all of that issue too.
Good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.